Hey guys, hope everyone is doing good. I am DM Vinayaka and welcome to the Professor of Pharmacy channel. And in today's video, we are going to discuss about the size reduction topic. Like what is size reduction and why we need to do this and all. We will get to know in today's video. And in today's video, the contents are the objectives, mechanism of size reduction, laws governing size reduction, and the factors affecting the size reduction. These are the topics that we are going to cover in the today's video. First is the definition of the size reduction. Let us know first like what is size reduction and all. Okay. So the definition, it is a process of reducing size of the large material into smaller one by applying some external force. So definition is a little bit of easy, not complex and all. साइज रिडक्शन क्या है उस नाम में ही लाइक पूरा डेफिनेशन लाइक साइज रिडक्शन लाइक reducing the size of the particle. So for example, in this picture as you can see, one large material is there. For that large material, we will reduce the size by some process. We will discuss in detail which process and all. By process, we will reduce the size of a large material into the smaller particles. So this is the size reduction. by एक लार्जर मटेरियल होगा तो उसको हम लोग कुछ एक्सटर्नल फोर्स लगा के उस मटेरियल को हम तोड़ेंगे, मतलब स्मॉल पार्टिकल्स में डिवाइड करेंगे या रिड्यूस करेंगे साइज को, उसको हम कहेंगे साइज रिडक्शन. दिस इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ साइज रिडक्शन. And next is the raw materials are generally present in larger size, which cannot be used in industries directly. So their size is reduced in smaller particles or powder. तो pharmaceutical industries में क्या होता है कि directly the powder will not be there, like the smaller powder will not be there. There will be a bulk drug or crude drug, which will be the irregular shape and all. So what we will do, we will reduce that bulk drug's size according to our formulation. By reducing the size, then later we will compress that and then we will coat that and then the tablet will become. So here in the pharmaceutical industries also, they will use the size reduction process. This is the meaning of the sentence. And next is the objectives. What are the objectives of the size reduction? First objective is to increase the surface area of the drug. So this objective, what is mean? It means that in order to increase the surface area of the drug, we need to reduce the size. इसका मतलब क्या है? For example, you will take one tablet. When you take the tablet, it will reaches the stomach. So in stomach, there will be the acids, obviously. So in that acid, if the tablet contains the smaller particles, what will happen? It will dissolve easily and then it will disintegrate in the stomach and then it will absorb into the intestines and all. So it will be very easy. So the surface area is more, but the particle size is less. In this case, it will dissolve very easily. वही एग्जाम्पल हम लोग एक टैबलेट लेंगे जो विच कंटेन द लार्जर पार्टिकल्स. तो क्या होगा, वो डिसॉल्व होने में देर करेगा और डिसॉल्व होके डिसइंटीग्रेट होगा, फिर जाके वो अब्जॉर्ब होगा. अब्जॉर्प्शन भी थोड़ा दिक्कत हो जाएगा क्योंकि इंटेस्टाइनल मेम्ब्रेन्स का या स्टमक का मेम्ब्रेन्स का जो सेल्स होता है, जो पोर साइज होता है वो स्मॉल होता है. तो इफ द पार्टिकल्स आर लार्ज, व्हाट विल हैपन, इट विल नॉट बी इजी टू पेनिट्रेट इनटू द next blood stream and all. So because the particle size is more, the surface area will become less. If the surface area will become less, it will be delayed, the process will be delayed. So for that reason, in order to increase the surface area, what we will do, we will increase the surface area of the drug by reducing the size of the particle. This is the first point. And the second one is the to allow the rapid penetration of solvent in crude drug. For example, this sentence, for example, we will take 1 cup of water. In this cup of water, we will add the crude drug, means the larger larger particles. If we add the larger particles, what will happen? The surface area will be less. So because of surface area is less, it will take more time to dissolve and all. So this is the first thing. And next thing, in the same cup of water, we will add the smaller particles. If you add the smaller particles, what will happen? It will, because surface area is larger and the particle size is small, it will dissolve easily and then it can rapidly penetrate into the cell membranes or anything. Like this is a common example for the second point. The third point is to easy mixing process. मिक्सिंग प्रोसेस इजी करने के लिए भी हम लोग साइज रिडक्शन करते हैं, क्योंकि इफ द साइज पार्टिकल इज स्मॉलर देन इट इज easy to mix compared to the larger particles. That is the third point. And the fourth one is the increase the absorption rate. As I said earlier, when we take a tablet, if the tablet contains the smaller particle size, it will be easily disintegrate, dissolve, and then absorb into the intestinal membranes. Because the intestinal membranes will contain very less pore size. So in order to penetrate that, the drug has to be smaller in size, or the particles, drug particles has to be smaller in size. If it is larger in size, it will be very hard to, disintegrate, dissolve, and all. And also the absorption will be containing more time compared to the lesser size particles. So in order to be the ideal absorption rate, the particle size of the drug has to be smaller. So in order to do that, what we will do, we will reduce the size of the particle. This is the fourth point. So these are the objectives by which we can see the size reduction objectives. Next is the mechanism of size reduction. Like, what are the mechanisms involved in the size reduction? The size reduction involves the following mechanisms. First one is the cutting, second compression, third is the impact, fourth one is attrition, and the last one is the combines, means it combines both impact and attrition. So these are all the mechanisms by which we can reduce the size of the particle. Okay, so let us know in detail what are the mechanisms of size reduction. First one is the cutting. Cutting is the process in which the material is cut by sharp blade. It is only for the fibrous and soft materials. तो कटिंग प्रोसेस में क्या होगा, उसमें हम मटेरियल को कट करेंगे बाय यूजिंग द शार्प ब्लेड्स. एक मशीन होगा, फॉर एग्जांपल द कटर मिल. इन दैट कटर मिल, व्हाट विल हैपन, it will cut the materials or particles by the sharp blade, and it is only applicable for the fibrous and soft materials, because in case of hard materials it is very hard to cut the particles and all. So it is only used for the fibrous and soft materials. This is the cutting. And second one is the compression. So in this mechanism, what will happen? The size is reduced by crushing the material by pressure. एग्जाम्पल रोलर मिल. इसको हम जनरल तरीके से समझे तो हम लोग आटा पिसवाने जाते हैं या चक्की पिसवाने जाते हैं. तो इन दैट देर विल बी वन इक्विपमेंट, और देर विल बी वन डिवाइस और इक्विपमेंट. उस इक्विपमेंट में क्या होगा, दो रोलर्स रहते हैं. टू रोलर्स विल बी देयर, एंड फ्रॉम द मिडल the grains or they will pass, okay, in the middle. So what will happen, the upper roller will move in this direction and the lower roller will move in this direction, and there will be some pressure creating in between those two. So because of that pressure, what will happen, the grains will be crushed and we will get the atta. So this is the normal general example, like by the crushing materials we can reduce the size. This is one example for the compression. And next one is the impact. What is impact? Like, it occurs when material remain constant and it is hit by the hammer. Like in this case, what will happen? The material will be constant. It will not move. Okay. And that material will be hit by the hammer. So for that, the example is the hammer mill. Because by hitting, it will create some impact. So because of that impact, what will happen? The drug material or the drug particle will be reduced. Its size will be reduced. So this is the impact. For this example is the hammer mill. Next one is the attrition. Attrition, in which the two or more particles will collide together and become small. तो इस मिल में क्या होगा? For example, we will take one cylinder. In that cylinder, we will add some drug or the some particles, larger particles. तो उस सिलेंडर को हम शेक करेंगे या रोल करेंगे. तो because of that, what will happen? The particles inside the cylinder, they will collide with each other, and because they're colliding or because they're crashing with each other, what will happen? Because of that pressure, the particle size will be reduced. So this process is known as the attrition. And the last one is the combined, means the impact and attrition, both both mechanisms will be combined in this process. It involves both mechanism together. For example, बॉल मिल फॉर एग्जांपल एक सिलेंडर होगा. उस सिलेंडर में हम लोग क्या करेंगे, थोड़ा आयरन बॉल्स रखेंगे, और उसमें हम लोग अपना पाउडर या अपना ड्रग्स डालेंगे. फिर हम मशीन को जब मशीन को ऑन करते हैं तो क्या होगा, वो स्पिन करेगा वो पहले सिलेंडर. स्पिन के साथ जो अंदर दो मेटल का बॉल रहते हैं वो भी स्पिन करेंगे. सो द इम्पैक्ट एंड अट्रिशन, लाइक इम्पैक्ट मीन्स द हैमर मिल व्हेन वी हिट द हैमर ना, by that mechanism here the balls will collide to the direct particles. So because of that the particle will be reduced, and also the here the cylinder is spinning, because of that pressure also the particles will be reduced. So these means impact and attrition will be combined in this process. This is the combined process. For example, ball mill. So these are the mechanisms by which we can reduce the size of the particle or the drug particles. This is about mechanism. And next is the laws governing the size reduction. Like so there will be some laws applying here. So which laws are applies here? We will get to know about that. So there are some laws which are used to predict the energy requirement for the size reduction. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक पार्टिकल का साइज रिड्यूस करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी लगेगा हमें, उसको प्रिडिक्ट जो करता है वो करता है लॉस. ओके, सो देर आर थ्री मेन लॉस. फर्स्ट वन इज द किक्स लॉ, second is the Rittinger's law, and third is the Bond's law. We'll get to know in detail these three laws. Okay, so first will be the Kick's law. Kick's law states that the energy required to reduce the size of the particles is proportional to the ratio of initial size of the bulk and the final size. It means that द एनर्जी लाइक एक पार्टिकल का साइज रिड्यूस करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी पड़ेगा हमें, उसको प्रिडिक्ट करने के लिए, या जो कितना एनर्जी पड़ता है उसको नो करने के लिए द रेशियो ऑफ इनिशियल साइज ऑफ द बल्क एंड द फाइनल साइज इज नेसेसरी. मीन्स जो पार्टिकल का साइज पहले कितने था और साइज बाय अप्लाइंग सम प्रेशर आफ्टर साइज रिड्यूस करने के बाद जो उसका साइज है, उन दोनों के रेशियो से हम लोग एनर्जी को डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. मीन्स कितना एनर्जी पड़ेगा उसको डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. फॉर दिस देर इज अ इक्वेशन दैट इज E इज इक्वल्स टू K into IN whole divided by D1 and D2, where E is the energy required per mass and K is the Kick's constant, and D1 is the initial size and D2 is the final size. And the D1 nothing but initial size is the bulk size, means before reducing the size. Okay, and D2 is the final size, means after reducing the size of the particle, that size, that is D2. This is about the Higgs law. Next is the Rittinger's law. The energy required for size reduction is proportional to change in surface area. It means that पार्टिकल को साइज रिड्यूस करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी लगेगा वो डिपेंड करता है चेंज इन सरफेस एरिया पे डिपेंड करता है. फॉर एग्जांपल, हमने एक बड़ा पार्टिकल ले लिया, उसको हमें साइज रिड्यूस करना है, तो उसको रिड्यूस करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी पड़ेगा, ज़्यादा एनर्जी पड़ेगा. वही एनर्जी हम लोग सरफेस एरिया ज़्यादा होगा उसमें हम उस पार्टिकल को रख के जो रिड्यूस करेंगे साइज वो कम पड़ेगा एनर्जी. So it depends upon the surface area also. For this, the equation is E is equals to K into R whole to the power of 1 divided by D2 minus 1 divided by D1, where the D1 and the D2 is the particle size at the start and the end. Means D1 is the particle size at the initial and the D2 is the particle size after reducing this size. And the Kr is nothing but the Rittinger's constant. And third law is the Bond's law. It states that energy used to reduce the particle size is proportional to the square root of the diameter of the particle produced. मीन्स एक पार्टिकल को साइज रिड्यूस करने के लिए कितना एनर्जी पड़ेगा वो डिपेंड करता है किस पे, डायमीटर ऑफ द पार्टिकल प्रोड्यूस. मीन्स जो बल्क ट्रक था उसको हमने एक्सटर्नल फोर्स लगा के उसका पार्टिकल साइज रिड्यूस कर लिया. उस जो पार्टिकल साइज रिड्यूस हो चुका है उसका डायमीटर क्या है, उसका हम लोग स्क्वायर रूट ले ले तो उस पे डिपेंड करता है. मीन्स कितना एनर्जी लगेगा वो हम प्रिडिक्ट कर सकते हैं फ्रॉम दैट डायमीटर, मीन्स द स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ दैट डायमीटर. फॉर दिस there is one equation that is E divided by W is equals to square root of 100 divided by D2 minus square root of 100 divided by D1, where W is the work required to reduce a unit mass and D1 is the size in starting and D2 is the size in the end. Okay, this is about the Bond's law and its equation. Next is the factors affecting size reduction. मीन्स साइज रिड्यूस करने के वक्त जो फैक्टर्स अफेक्ट करेंगे साइज रिडक्शन प्रोसेस पे, ये देर आर सम मैनी फैक्टर्स अवेलेबल एक्चुअली फॉर दिस. सो फर्स्ट वन इज द हार्डनेस. हार्डनेस कैसे इम्पैक्ट करेगा साइज रिडक्शन को? फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ द particle which we are reducing its size, that particle hardness is more, then it will require more energy and the process will be longer, and it causes the difficulty in size reduction because the particle is more harder. So this is the first factor. And second factor is the toughness, means difficulty in size reduction than the hard material. टफनेस के लिए हम लोग एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल रबर को. हम लोग रबर एक टफर मटेरियल है, उसको साइज रिडक्शन करने के लिए हमें ज़्यादा एनर्जी लगेगा क्योंकि वो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रबर है. तो ऑलमोस्ट द हार्ड मटेरियल को जितना एनर्जी लगेगा उसका दुगना एनर्जी लगेगा इन ऑर्डर टू रिड्यूस इट्स साइज. दैट्स द टफनेस factor. And third one is the stickiness, means some material adhere or stick to the surface of the hammer. For example, hammer mill जो इक्विपमेंट होता है उस पे हम लोग एक ड्रग को रिड्यूस कर रहे हैं, साइज उस ड्रग को साइज को रिड्यूस कर रहे हैं. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट व्हाट विल हैपन व्हेन इट हिट द ड्रग पार्टिकल, सम पार्टिकल्स विल बी stick to the or which some particles will be adhered to the hammer. So because of that also the size reduction can affect. And next one is the moisture content. Means it moisture content it also influence the size reduction. Means particles जो हम लोग size reduce करना चाहते हैं उस particles में अगर कुछ moisture content हो गया तो क्या होगा? Size reduction करते वक्त due to that moisture it will stick to some wall or it will stick to the equipment and the size will not be reduced. So it is also a factor. And next one is the temperature. टेम्परेचर क्या हो, टेम्परेचर कैसे अफेक्ट करेगा? समटाइम्स जब हम पार्टिकल साइज को रिड्यूस करना चाहते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल हैमर मिल और बॉल मिल, ड्यू टू वी आर हिटिंग दैट पार्टिकल और वी आर हिटिंग दैट substance, what will happen? There will be some heat which will be generated. Due to that heat, what will happen? That particle will be stick to that hammer or the adhere to the walls of the mill. So like this also it will affect the size reduction. And next one is the slipperiness. Means in order to reduce the size, for example, एक drug particle है उसको size reduce कर रहे हैं by the using of the hammer mill. So here what will happen, that particle has to be constant in order to reduce its size. If it is slipping, so what will happen? The size will not be reduced. So it is also a factor by which the size reduction can affect. So these are all the factors of the size reduction. And in today's video, what all we learned? We learned the size reduction definition, its objectives, mechanisms, laws governing size reduction, and the factors affecting. So in next video, we will discuss like by which equipments can we reduce the size of the particles. Okay. So this is for today's guys. So hope everyone understood this topic. And if you have any doubts, just comment down and I will reply to those comments. Okay. Have a great day.